In normal times, the members of our family would be getting together now to bid a fond final farewell to Dion. But these are not normal times, are they? However, we must do the best we can. Dee's two sons, Stuart and Chris, have told me of some of the things they found while unpacking boxes of Dee's belongings. They included an oval-shaped, gilt-framed picture of Dee when she was a baby. I remembered this miniature very well because our father carried it around with him in his pocket to show anyone and everyone what a beautiful baby she was. She had an olive skin, big brown eyes which would melt your heart, chubby rosy cheeks, and her head was covered with a mass of little dark ringlets. When she was about 4 years of age, her big brother Bruce, who would have been about 15 at the time, doted on his baby sister. He would dress her in her prettiest clothes and parade her around the town in her pushchair. The final finishing touch was revealed by the open-toed sandals she wore. Her little toenails were all lovingly painted with bright red nail varnish. As she grew older, many fell under her spell. She loved swimming and was persuaded to compete against others in our newly opened Olympic pool. A local taxi driver, Mr. Harold Taylor, appointed himself her coach, and she trained early each morning with keen enthusiasm. My work in local commercial radio took me away when Dee reached her teens, firstly to 2LF at Young and then 2GZ at Orange. When I returned to Maitland, I had a real shock. My little sister had blossomed. She'd emerged as though she was a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. Young men with whom I had attended school were competing with each other for her attentions. Quite simply, people referred to her as stunning. Work again took me away, this time to the UK, to try my luck in the theatre. Eventually, Dee also travelled to Britain, where we met up again. She and her friend Scotty managed to buy an elderly London taxi for, I believe, £60 and took themselves off on a tour of Europe. One day a friend asked me about my sister and I told him what they'd done. He was horrified. What, he said? You actually let your little sister and her friend go off all over Europe on their own? I replied that young Australians were resilient, adventurous, resourceful and independent. The idea that my sister needed to ask my permission would have been totally foreign to me and also certainly to her. In time, the family history relates that she met the dashing master mariner, Captain Peter Dan, and that there were several members of the extended family, Stuarts and Lowenthalls, in the UK and able to attend their wedding. Captain Dan took his new bride back to her homeland, where they settled, first in Sydney and then in Brisbane, where Peter had become the local manager of Scan Carriers, a Scandinavian shipping line. Living in the UK, as I did then, I was not able to meet my two nephews, Stuart and Chris, and my lovely niece, Catherine, during their early childhood. I have always regretted not having known them as little ones. However, I did manage to meet them all in their late teens and did enjoy coming to know their offspring, Stuart's two girls, Sarah and Lulu, and Chris's two boys, James and Oliver. For many years, Pam and I visited Dee, her children and grandchildren, every Christmas and remember these visits with great pleasure. We were all very saddened that Dee's medical conditions progressively worse and her quality of life deteriorating. After a very full and rich life, her struggle is over. At last, she is able to rest in peace.